Is up, guys? Welcome back to the podcast. And I guess I'm streaming this one live on YouTube. I'm going to cut that out anyway, so later. Okay, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to the podcast. Your boy, Drew Heifetz. I know it's been a long time that I haven't really been on here. Haven't really been on here in a big minute. But you know what? Life is crazy. I got no excuses for you. I just haven't been on. I've been working on other things. But I am back, and we have podcasts recorded in the bank, ready to go for you guys, ready to drop. We got like 8 episodes. I got guests lined up. I've already recorded with some guests. I got a new project I want to tell you about. But today I just wanted to kind of like jump on here, do an episode, talk to you about what I've been up to, talk to you about my midlife crisis. I got notes, and but I'm back. I'm committed. I'm committed to bringing you guys podcasts. First off, I gotta say thank you to everybody so much. Thank you to everybody so much for supporting the Patreon. To all the Patreon members, I love you guys. Um, I'll tell you more what that money's been going to support. But yeah, it's been, I know I haven't been on in a minute, and I am so grateful for all you guys sticking it out. I'm going to be bringing you guys so much content and so much bonus extra tidbits on the Patreon very soon. And the episodes, like I said, they're in the bank. They'll be dropping weekly. So just thank you very much. Okay, so what I'm going to talk to you guys about on this episode of the show, it's just going to be me talking about what's coming up for the show, what's coming up for projects. I'm going to talk to you about my midlife crisis I've been going through. I'm 44 years old. It's been a crazy year and a half, year and a bit. What we've been up to with the company, F is in Frank, how we've been building, talk to you a little bit about that. A lot more to come on that in future episodes. I want to talk about the state of vintage. I'm going to show you guys some cool stuff that's been stoking me out lately, some pieces I picked up. Going to talk about other events been going on, talk to you about some other weird tidbits in there, and that's about it. And then next week, or actually not even next week, this week we'll be dropping the first guest episodes, and then the new project that I'll tell you about. So what's coming up for the show, guys? What's coming up on future episodes of the show? Well, you can expect more guests, just like the old interviews that I always do, just like the things you can expect on this show. I'm going to be interviewing lots more people within the scene. The scene is changing all the time. The vintage world is like moving and shaking all the time. New people are coming in and people are falling off. It's so interesting to go back to like early episodes of the podcast and look at what people are up to who were on the show. Some are gone from the scene and others are like thriving, you know. So I got lots of great guests. I want to bring on lots more OGs in the game, people that have been doing it for a long time. Recently, it seems like everybody's going to Japan. I want to interview more of the Japanese dealers, but also people who are going over there and see what their take is on the Japanese scene. The true vintage scene is like still booming. T-shirt market's like up and down, fluctuating. It seems like vintage as a whole is still growing, getting very saturated, though. I got to say that the vintage scene is like getting very saturated. um, but I also think we're coming into a time when like there's going to be a shift in what's going on. What's happening in the scene. I think a lot of people are going to start to fall off because it's got so saturated that like there isn't enough money to make everyone rich right now as they want to be. So um, I think there's going to be like a changing of the guard, and some people are going to fall off because the easy money isn't really there as much as it was. But I'll talk about that more. I'm also streaming this live on YouTube, so there's some chats coming in. Yo, Numba, what up? Thrift Voyager, what up? Yeah, got to prime the channel because I got lots of cool stuff coming up, and I want, I'm very excited for you guys to see what we've been working on. Okay, so another project that we've been working on is a sub show to Vintage and Stuff podcast that you're used to, which is going to be myself, Jesse, and my partner Amy. Now, we are going to be bringing you more like direct business content. We're also going to be interviewing people on that sub show. Those are going to be shorter episodes, like half hour to an hour episodes, weekly drops, where we really talk to you about what's going on in our business, but like the business in general, and share the journey with you. Share the journey. F as in Frank is scaling. We now have 3 retail locations plus the warehouse. We sell online. We have a big, huge staff. We're working on like inventory systems all the time, figuring out how to create a system that we can go to 50 stores essentially. Now, we want to be able to bring you guys along on that journey. We want to be able to share all the hardships with what we're doing. And we're going to do that. We've already, like I said, we got a bunch of episodes in the bank of that. And I think you're really going to enjoy it because we really go deep into like subjects. Like we did a full episode on vintage systems, which like how do we price how do we take in product, how do we price it, how do we tag it, how do we get it to the stores, all these different things that we do that need to be systemized because in business the most important things are product, people, and systems. So all very, very important. We did a whole episode on that. We did an episode on history of famous people coming to Ephes and Frank. That's just more of a fun episode. There's a crazy list of people that came through Ephes and Frank in the last like 15, 20 years. And we like told so many fun stories about all the people that have come through. Some great experiences, some not so great experiences. You know, we told the story of Mac Miller coming through. We had Tyga in the Toronto store for a meet and greet. We told that story. The weekend actually like used to hang out at a store that we were partnered in before he blew up. Like the weekend used to literally, and our partner actually managed the weekend and helped him blow up. So there's like all these crazy stories about famous people that have come through the ranks of Ephes and Frank and we've been involved with. So that's super fun episode. And again, we're going to be bringing on guests like you're used to. But let's talk about my last year. So obviously the last year I've been working on the business, been working on myself a lot, but I've also gone through a midlife crisis. And yeah, it's been a bit crazy. It's been a bit crazy. So I've said it before on the show, but I've separated from my um I've separated from my wife, not my wife. Well, she's still my wife now, but we're separated. And I've been going through this crazy journey. And now, what is, I guess, what is a midlife crisis? So, this is a weird one. I'm like, should I talk about midlife crisis on this show? Why the hell not? You know, I want to be transparent on the podcast like I always am. And what is a midlife crisis? You know, I guess you don't really know what it is until you go through it. You know, I'm 44 right now, so it's perfect time for a midlife crisis. And this is the time, you know, everybody goes out and buys a sports car, you know, goes and gets wasted for sleeps with random people, goes and gets wasted for months of their life. And that people do crazy things when they go through a midlife crisis. But why do we go through a midlife crisis? Well, I think we go through a midlife crisis because we hit a point in our life where we start to question our we start to question what we're doing. We start to question like do we have enough time left? Are we where we want to be in our life? Basically, it's because you question, are you where you wanted to be in your life right now? So that's the concept. And then people will maybe not be happy with where they are right now in their life. Now, in my case, like that wasn't I'm happy. Obviously, I'm not happy to be going through a separation with my wife. But you know, other than that, I'm pretty happy with where I'm at in my life. I'm happy with like who I am as a person. I'm happy with a lot of things. And but I think the basis of a midlife crisis is yeah, you're not happy with where you are. You're wondering, do I have enough time left to do what I want to do? Am I successful enough as I want to be right now? Have I done the things? Am I the person that I want to be? All these different things. And if any of those answers are like no, then you like go through this crazy crisis, which is like questioning your existence, the rest of your life. What the hell's going on? Am I going to be able to do everything? You know, and then that causes like tons of anxiety, tons of depression. And then when people get depressed, what do? They go out and get wasted and they go buy shit that they think is going to make them happy. And they do things that they think are going to fill the void to make them happy, which is like go sleep with a bunch of people, get wasted, I don't know, buy sports cars. That's what people do. They buy a Mazda Miata when they're freaking going through a midlife crisis. My midlife crisis was not like that. My midlife crisis was just, I had to separate from my wife, had to refigure out what I'm going to be doing. There's a lot of fear involved. It's like fear of like how we're going to handle like co-parenting, how we're going to handle like separating all the assets that we have, which is crazy because we have um a lot of assets. It's like that's not easy, right? You go through a separation when you have a business, you have savings, you have investments, you have assets, you have all these things that you have to then like divide up, which is complex. Figuring out a fair way to do that is like complex. You hear all these horror stories about people that have went through it. One thing for me was like I tried not to listen to people's advice because more often than not, people's advice was coming from their experience. Well, it's always coming from their experiences, and their experiences oftentimes were really shit. So then they're giving me advice based on this really shit experience they had. And then I'm like being influenced by them having a shit experience and them trying to project their shit experience onto me and like warning me about all this shit that they went through. But I'm like, I'm going to do this my way. I'm going to go through it the way I think is right. I'm going to be a good person because that's who I am. I'm going to be fair, and I'm gonna let it be not influenced by people are maybe bad people or have had crazy bad weird experiences. Um. Anyway, so that's kind of I'm still going through that. It's not completely done, but there's been a lot of like growth there. There's been a lot of worry. There's been a lot of fear in that world of my separation. But I've come out the other side a little bit now, and that fear is gone. I'm ready for the next like phase of my life here. I have been dating. I've been dating. And yeah, that's been a whole weird, fun journey. Obviously, like dating in midlife dating after midlife crisis. I throw that midlife crisis out there a lot. It's not like I've like did anything crazy. Like fuck, I haven't even like taken any trips. I still want to like go on some fun surf trips and shit. But um, I've been really dedicated, to be honest, to my kids because this is like really hard on them, and you want to minimize like the effects that your actions have on your kids. People go through separations, divorces, crisis, and then the kids are the ones that are most affected. So I really tried to like just focus on my kids, be there for my kids, be the dad that I would have wanted, that I wanted. And my dad was, well, my parents went through a whole crazy crisis of their own, but we're not going to talk about that. So I was really focused on my kids. But I've been dating. That's a whole new weird thing that I did this year. Recently started dating, get on the dating apps, which like when I never had been on a dating app until this year. You're like swiping women, you're like trying to find someone who's a cool match. Then you have all these weird text conversations, and then you like set up some dates and you go on dates, and you got to do that for the first time in a long time. Plus, I don't drink anymore. Dating when you don't drink is interesting. Like we use alcohol to take the edge off in situations like that. Um, and you know, I guess when you don't drink, you don't have that ability to take the edge off. So you got to learn to like do it without the alcohol. I get learn like when you quit drinking, you have to learn to do everything without alcohol. Like go to social parties, go. I don't know. The biggest thing that I miss about alcohol is after snowboarding, après ski, after snowboarding, having a beer is like the best fucking thing. Obviously, I'll drink a non-alcoholic beer, but it's not the same. I really miss that. So I had to learn how to date without alcohol, which I did. I had some like the first couple dates are pretty nerve wracking, and then you're just like, you know what? Fuck it. Like I'm comfortable with who I am. I want to go out and have fun with cool women. What's there to be nervous about? Like I think we get nervous because we're nervous that the person won't like us, right? We're nervous that we're gonna fuck it up. We're nervous that we're gonna say something stupid. But in the end, it's like that's irrelevant because you're either compatible or you're not. And I think when you start to make it about compatibility and not about you being not good enough, then the world changes and it opens up like the opportunity to forget about that. Like, just be yourself. And if you're compatible, it's going to work out. And if you're not compatible, it's not going to work out. But don't make that interaction be that you fucked it up, you sucked, you're not good enough, all these other crazy things that we like tell ourselves about uh, interactions or relationships. So I think that's important. I've learned that, and I'm not nervous about it anymore. But I'm also not like, so I've been dating and I've been dating, went on a bunch of dates with a bunch of women. Some went farther and longer than others, and some didn't. And but currently, I'm not like dating anybody, but I'm also cool with that. I'm cool with not being with someone right now. I'm cool with being with myself. I'm cool with like chilling out and spending a lot of time with my kids. I don't need somebody to validate me. I don't need somebody. Yes, it's nice to spend time with someone. Yes, it's nice to get laid a lot, but I'm also cool with just chilling with me, and being very intentional about like who I give my time to, because I don't want to waste time. Like, my kids are so important that I want to spend a lot of time with them. My work is important, and I don't want to waste time with people that don't bring value to my life, that don't inspire me, that don't stoke me out about life. So I'm being very intentional about how I spend my time. And yeah, that's kind of my story. So yeah, I'm still in the middle of separation. This year's been like a lot of ups and downs with that, a lot of like anxiety, times of like a little bit of depression, loneliness. Fuck, things come with this kind of fear. There's a lot of emotions and a lot of different feelings that come with that. But I guess I'm just being transparent here. But the main thing is that I'm back, and I want to really push this podcast. I want to really bring on great guests for you. I want to share tons of knowledge with you guys. I want to keep bringing value to your lives, because that's what this whole thing was about. When I started the podcast years ago, it was because I enjoy helping people. I enjoy helping you guys. I enjoy bringing value to your lives, bringing value to your businesses, helping you grow your own, whatever it is, and also entertainment. It's like, fuck, I like talking to people. I like fucking around. I like having those interactions. You know, there's something called flow state. When you're really committed to something, you're in flow state. Like, people find flow state within sports, within music, within creativity. It's where you're like so in something that you can't think of anything else. Now, for me, like snowboarding and people say surfing is like the ultimate flow state sport, because you get so little time actually surfing. There's so much prep time in surfing, but when you're actually riding a wave, you get like, fuck, if you had like 2 minutes riding wave in like a 4 hour session, you'd be like, that was a lot of surf time. But during that 2 minutes, during that like 30-second ride, it's like the most flow state, because you cannot think of anything else. You're like so in the moment, you're so dialed for that moment. And flow state is why people do crazy sports like extreme snowboarding, extreme skiing, skydiving, or base jumping, whatever, because you're like, you've got to be in that moment. You can't think of anything else. It puts you like in flow. But doing the podcast where I'm like in it, this sounds so dumb maybe, but like, you got to dedicate yourself to that 2 hours, that hour you're with somebody. Like, I'm dedicating myself to talking right now to you guys, which puts you like, you don't think about anything else. Stop thinking about anything else. Just think about this. Do the job. Get it going. Be in it. Um, so yeah, the podcast is kind of like a state of flow for me, and it's fun, and I get to commit to it. And yeah, happy to be back doing it and bringing you guys value. All right, I'm going to talk about F as in Frank a little bit more here. So, yeah, the last year we partnered with my partner Amy. Obviously, I'm partnering with my brother Jesse, and we've been setting up systems and procedures and infrastructure to scale retail. To scale retail. Again, it's always a work in progress. Every business is like ebbs and flows of what's going on, and you got to adapt. So I'm not saying we're there perfectly yet, but we've had an interesting year of growth, had a banging year of like revenue, but also like figuring out profitability and figuring out systems. And it's like, hasn't been perfect, to tell you that, but like, it's been a lot of learning this year. And So we have 2 stores in Vancouver, a store in Whistler, and then the warehouse in Squamish. Whistler's been great. We've been killing it up there. We've figured out how to like kind of mitigate dead season up there by implementing like a thrift protocol for the slow seasons. Ski towns have a slow season. Now, obviously winter and summer are busy because there's like mountain biking in summer, and winter there's skiing and snowboarding. Slow season is the spring and fall. So we like flip the store to be half like actual thrift, not vintage. And it does great because the locals are broke. They just want cheap stuff. And that seemed to mitigate slow season. And then the season up there is great. Like summer and winter up there have been awesome. The city's been a bit weird. Like the city, Vancouver's been a bit slower than normal, which is not cool. But I don't know what to put that on. Is it the economy? Is it like that there's more vintage stores popping up everywhere? It's tricky. Don't really know what's going on in the city. I kind of think it's because a lot more vintage stores are popping up, which I don't like to get like negative attention onto competition, but it forces you to adapt. It forces you to do something different. It forces you to grow in a way that you maybe didn't have to before. So we're kind of in that figuring out phase of the city, but we also got plans for new stores in different areas. Yeah, so like I said, Amy, Jesse, and me are bringing you guys episodes about growing the business. So there'll be lots more about how we grow our business. Very, very actionable knowledge we're going to be dropping on those episodes. Stoked to bring you guys that stuff. Yeah, I just want to quickly jump into like the state of the vintage in out there right now. It's been a minute since I've been on here. So the state of vintage in the world, I'll give you my take on it. Like I said, the retail landscape is getting saturated. The online landscape is even more saturated. It's like nuts. Like you can probably find anything you want. Anything you want within the vintage realm, you can probably find it now, which is crazy because there was the reason vintage is popular in a lot of senses is because of the rarity of it, right? The rarity of something that you can't find. You know it exists, but you can't find it. You want it, you can't find it. But if it's all available, if it's all like available to buy at any given time, then like surely the value gets dropped to some degree, but also it becomes less exciting. It becomes less exciting. Collecting it becomes less exciting. And I'm just giving you my perspective. You know, there's so much we're seeing every day. Like back in the beginning of Instagram, there was like 20 vintage dealers on Instagram. Now there's like 20,000 vintage dealers on Instagram. And we're getting fed like product all the time. And it desensitizes you like crazy. So partly like it's harder for me to get excited about vintage these days, like actual pieces. Like what am I finding, what am I doing, what's going on with these, like what I'm seeing out there doesn't excite me as much. What does excite me is like going on adventures. I had this conversation with my boy Chris. He's done an episode of the show. We hang out a lot. He's like a picker. He's a full-time picker. And, I was like, I want to go north to this thrift store that we like didn't get to see because it was like closed when we did our big trip in the summer. We did a crazy week-long trip up north that I'm going to be dropping a vlog about, where we just drove north from Vancouver, like 8 hours up there, picked barns, picked ranches, picked thrift stores, went to see some sellers, did whatever we could to find stuff. It was a wicked trip. I was at that time, I'm like, I want to go back to that like weird hidden thrift store thing that we never got to see because they were closed. Went back. So he's like, I way rather go to the Seattle bins. And I'm like, yeah, like you like yield wise, sure, Seattle bins would be better. Probably, maybe. We don't know. We haven't been to this thrift store. But the thrift store was also like a hidden gem where like there was like boxes of old shit like stashed away. We just couldn't get in there. But anyway, and I'm like, yeah, Seattle bins is cool, but like I want the experience of like going north to like weird place to do the thing. I don't really care. Yes, the yield at the bins would be better, but I want the experience. That's what excites me now is like the experience of finding something in a weird place, doing something interesting, going to do a new thing, finding something that maybe I haven't seen before, that excites me about the business now. The day to day, opening up some bales or boxes of stuff, it's like, yeah, maybe I'll get excited about a piece or two, but not typically. Business excites me, like figuring out how to run the business better, figuring out um, people development and how to manage people really excites me. So we'll talk about a lot of that coming up on future episodes. Um, what else excites me? I mean, vintage still does excite me. So I'm going to show you a few pieces that I've got recently that did excite me because I don't want to be such a downer on the scene. I mean, the scene is growing. I think like, when I look at the scene right now, it's like lives are still killing it. There's still people killing it on Whatnot, crushing it, like crushing like $100,000 shows. Like that shit exists right now, and people are doing it. And it is like I don't know how to say this, like it's like a bit of a clout game still there where you're like these cool guy sellers putting up like crazy heat that they're paying for crazy amounts of money and they're probably making low margin. Like they're probably making like a 10-20% margin on a lot of this product. So like, yeah, sure, they did $100,000 show, probably made 20 grand, maybe they made 30 grand like profit, but they spent 70 grand to make the 30 grand. Now, like traditional business would say, like, that's not smart business. But like, if you're one guy, you're like, fucking A, that's smart business because you just made 30 grand. Like, you do that once a month, you're laughing. You're laughing. Profit wise, it's a lot of investment to do that. But yeah, so whatnots are still going crazy. I think like, um, obviously like the scene of like say eBay, Etsy, all these resale platforms, like yes, there's a lot of money to be made on those too. And I think it's viable for a lot of people. I see a lot of people doing well on those platforms, but it's about like consistency and figuring it out, knowing what sells. And again, like probably not just selling vintage on those platforms, selling whatever you can actually make money on is the way to go. Um, and retail is an up and down beast. Retail is very up and down. You're dependent on the weather. You're dependent on the seasonality of it. You got to bring in the right product. You got to be able to market your store well. But I do love retail, and I'm still very bullish on retail in the right locations. So that's what we're focusing on for sure. And then the whole scene's growing. Like Complex Con is on right now. Thrift Con has like a section in Complex Con that's on right now. So it's like vintage in the scene of like bigger fashion and streetwear is still like growing, and it's becoming more of like a staple that lives there, which is good for the scene for sure. To be honest, like we make a lot of our money now, not from vintage, from closeouts. What are closeouts? Closeouts are like buy overstock stuff. Like we obviously everyone knows we had the Yeezy Gap stuff for a long time. That was like a closeout deal. This summer we had a crazy Roxy deal where like we had Roxy, Billabong, Quicksilver, like old stock, sold bikinis like it was going out of fashion, man. Like it was crazy. I was able to sell like bikini sets, tops and bottoms, $40 a pop, or $40 for the set, $20 for separates. Um, and like we were selling those all summer. I had like thousands of them, and I had got such a good deal on this product. So closeouts do good business for us now. Yeah, so that's my thing on the state of the game. It's ever evolving, and that's why I'm going to keep bringing on guests for you to talk about their experiences, what they're doing in the vintage, what they're doing in the scene. The true vintage scene is like just booming. We just recently saw a pair of jeans sell for $250,000. That was at the Inspiration event in Japan. This last Inspiration in Tokyo, Japan, we saw more Americans go to Japan, more American vintage dealers go to Japan at one time than I've ever seen. I didn't go. I would have liked to have gone, but I didn't go. But it just seemed like so many vintage dealers were there for that event. Now, it's cool to see. It's cool to see everybody going over there. And obviously, that Brit Eaton sold a pair of $250,000 jeans. They were like the oldest, best example of like a 501. Apparently, again, I'm not a historian. This is just what I heard. I saw the jeans. I'll try to put a picture on the screen here for the episode. But so yeah, $250,000 pair of jeans. He sold them to Mushroom, which is like a really killer dealer. I think he's out of Osaka. And then Mushroom sold them to oh man, I'm gonna draw a blank on this. Mushroom sold them to the big dealer in Thailand who I forget the name, but they're the ones that they've been buying a lot of stuff. They bought the best pair of jeans at Brit's last event at the auction, and they are gonna like set up a museum in Thailand for vintage denim apparently. So they're buying up crazy stuff. Anyway, someone's asking a question here. Says, do you think it's all based on location? California is just so massive for vintage, and with the weather being good year long, the flea markets, vintage markets never end. Whatnot, for sure, a wave right now. Faded on there is hosting these crazy vintage lives, but charging $2.15 an hour is kind of wild. Yeah, so California, sure, it's a hub. Like people come from all over the world to California. The markets are going off. That's another thing. The markets that, like in Vancouver alone, the markets are gone wild. There's markets every day. There's markets on weekdays. There's markets every weekend. Markets used to be like a draw because they're rare. It's like Rose Bowl's once a month. You got to go. It's once a month. Then it's like Alameda is maybe every Sunday or every weekend. But when you have so many markets all the time and all the same dealers, and it's not like a deal anymore at these markets, it's just like retail. It's full retail at these markets. They become not as cool. Like I used to be able to go to the Rose Bowl. We would do like 10 to 20 grand at the Rose Bowl. You know, I think it'll be hard to do that kind of money nowadays with the same product. But again, I don't know. We might be popping up this year, 2025. Look out for us at the Rose Bowl. We might be coming back. So yeah, markets are saturating it, and markets are good. And I know a lot of people who make their living just on markets. They crush it. So markets are a viable business model, and it keeps your overhead like way down. Keeps your overhead way down because you don't have employees. You don't have like rent to deal with, permanent rents. And the Whatnot guys are killing it. Like they have the most successful live on the internet. So it's well worth it. Like you go on that live, you can make 5, 10, 15, 20 grand in that hour if you have the right stuff. So paying the $250 an hour to go on a Whatnot live is well worth it. And those guys are killing it. Okay, so let's show you a couple pieces that are stoking me out. Okay, wait, one more question. It says, it sucks because I'd love to leave California for the Midwest due to cheaper cost of living, but California is where I need to be for sourcing and selling for the most profit. California is probably where you need to be for sourcing and selling, but the Midwest is great for sourcing. What are you talking about? Go to the Midwest and source and then sell it in California, not the other way around. Or, you know, California sourcing to me, like it's probably okay, but like you could source way better, cheaper product other places. I get some steals on Whatnot from the small sellers though. It's amazing, time consuming, but worth it if you can watch a few. Yeah, so I know a lot of the t-shirt dealers are buying on Whatnot because you can find steals on these smaller lives that don't have a lot of views. But man, that's time consuming. I can't do that. I never watch those lives. I got to chill with my kids. I got to like do real life things. Like I've been fishing a lot. Like I'd rather go fishing and enjoy the outdoors than sit on a freaking Whatnot live and buy 3 t-shirts for the whole night. Like that's not my game, but I respect it if it's your game. Okay, I'm going to show you a few pieces that have stoked me out lately, just because I do still get excited for vintage. It's just harder to get excited for vintage. Okay, guys? Here you go. 90s t-shirt, cowhide. I just think this graphic is fucking genius. It's funny. It's cool. Cows hiding behind cactuses. It's a good 90s forest green Hanes heavyweight t-shirt. and nothing special. It just stoked me out. This just came in. This is the Rhythm Patagonia oatmeal hooded fleece. And yeah, so he just wrote, I only watch them when I'm listening online, or else I feel like I'm wasting my life away. Yeah, that's the thing. But soon enough, you're going to be listening to my podcast instead of watching live. So that's going to be where you're listening. So this is the Rhythm, like reverse pile, deep pile in oatmeal. These are like the best Patagonia fleeces you'll ever see. It's got the Rhythm hit right there. Super comfy, cozy. One of the best like hooded Patagonia pieces. Has no Patagonia branding on it. So yeah, this stoked me out. I've never had this. I had this in black, but never in the oatmeal. Okay, a couple more quick pieces just to show you something here. This is a Romeo Must Die movie soundtrack promo tee, featuring 3 new Aaliyah tracks, including the singles Try Again, I Don't Want to, and Are You Feeling Me, and more new music from Aaliyah DMX, BG from Cash Money, Destiny's Child, Mac 10, Timberland and Magoo. Yeah, just a really cool movie promo tee. Got that recently. Took this one. Gangstar mullet tee, like late 90s. One of the best yet. Fucking Gangstar. Come on. It's just a sick mullet promo tee. I got this last time I was at the bowl, actually. This Stussy Tribe. Man, my camera's like tripping with the oh, there we go. Okay. Stussy Tribe AOP tee. Kind of a funky rare print. OG though. Just really cool. And last one I'm going to show you that I got a while ago that really stoked me out is the Whiskey 2 movie promo tee. Boozy the Clown Productions. And yeah, Whiskey is a skateboard movie from the 90s that I grew up with that kind of was like instrumental in spawning like the Jackass guys. They were the ones doing the first pranks in like skate snowboard movies and stuff. So super dope tee. So that's a few pieces that I've put into the personal collection lately that have stoked me out. Homie just wrote, I've listened to your podcast all throughout COVID era. You need an update one with Taryn or with these whatnot guys. Yeah, well, I will do one. I have a few. I want to do Rosha vintage. I would love to get Taryn back on, although I don't know if he'll do it because Taryn, I don't know. Taryn, you want to do it? Come back on the show. Let's do it. Let's do an update. See what Taryn's up to. There's a lot of updates I want to do, actually. I'm going to get Monarch Studios back because I never have spoke to him on the show since he opened up his new store. He said he would come on the show. Yeah, we got to do some revisits with people that have like done a lot of new things since they were on the show. Excuse me. All right. Something that's been interesting me lately, which is actually, I don't know if I want to get into that on this. Anybody have any questions out there? Any of the YouTube live guys want to drop a question in the chat? So yeah, what else have I been up to lately? Like I said, I've been fishing a lot. I've been trying to spend time outdoors, spending a lot of time with my kids. Growing the business and figuring out operations and stuff like that. We had a wicked polo drop in the Vancouver Main Street store recently. We dropped like 200 like banger polo pieces. I'll put like some pictures on screen here for that. Like 200 banger polo pieces we dropped. It was crazy. There's still a bunch of those pieces available on FAsInFrankVintage.ca. FAsInFrankVintage.ca. Make sure you go check it out. We've been working on that website, which is in Canadian dollars. So if you're in the US, those prices are like way cheaper because the US dollar is like 40% higher than the Canadian dollar right now. And yeah, you guys can cop on our FAsInFrankVintage.ca website for wicked cheap. There's lots of room. We price to sell. We don't price to be like we're the top price. We price to move product. The price that I want to price it at is the price that it's going to sell like real fast. So everything's priced to sell. Check out FAsInFrankVintage.ca. And by the way, on future episodes of the podcast, every episode of the podcast is going to have $100 secret store credit. You just have to listen to the episode, be the first to tap into the episode, and and then get the code and go spend the code on the website. Every episode, I'm giving away $100 store credit to one lucky viewer who gets it. So make sure you sub to the channel. Make sure you get and listen to those episodes fucking quick, because every episode I'm giving away $100 store credit to F as in Frank vintage.ca. Okay, someone wrote, how did you score the Gap Kanye collab? Good question. Okay, so the Gap Kanye collection, we're talking like spring 23. Okay. Spring 2023 was when we got the Gap collection, or when we first heard about the Gap collection. Now, because what happened was, this is the story. This is the story of Gap. I will do a full episode on this because this is amazing story. There's so much crazy shit behind this story. This story is like deep, long, and interesting. And Jesse needs to be on an episode with me to talk about the Kanye whole fucking story. But I'll like do like a quick 5-minute version of it. Spring 2023, Jesse calls me. He's like, yo, we got access to this stuff. I just got a call from like one of our sources, rag dealer, who has like bales and bales and bales and bales and bales of the Kanye Gap collab. It was season 3 that never released. Now, obviously, we know why it never released, because Gap canceled the collection. Gap canceled the collection with Kanye because this was at the same time when Kanye was going off on Twitter and like doing interviews and just like saying the craziest, wildest shit, saying some anti-Semitic shit about Jews. And he was just like fucking himself, basically. Like, I don't know if it was this intentional. I don't know if like he's got mental problems, or like, you know, his mental health isn't super good. I don't really know why. You know, I got theories. I think the guy's like very me and Jesse are Jewish. I think the guy's a genius in a lot of ways. And I think part of that, like, unfiltered fucking, like, give it to him straight, say what I'm thinking, has got him to where he is. But also, like, in that sense, it like kind of screwed him. But again, was it calculated? Did he want to have what happened happen? I don't know. Only he knows, I guess. But Adidas canceled him. So Adidas shut down the program, which was like a $1 billion program for sure. And Gap canceled that collection. And I guess because this was the 3rd season, they produced like a ton. They produced like millions of garments to go to like every Gap store. The Bid Stitch guy, he was talking a lot of shit about Palestine. Yeah, so that's okay. Yeah, that you're talking about that post that Bid Stitch did. Just to clear it up, I'm not involved with Bid Stitch currently. I was in the beginning, but like for the last like long period, I haven't been involved with those guys. And that was like the actions of one guy. He was posting stupid stuff on IG stories and people confronted him. Yes, he was. And it was very selfish and stupid of whatever, of that whole thing. And I'm not going to get into that. I'm talking about the Kanye thing. That's totally not related. That's the Bid Stitch guys. I'm talking about the Kanye canceled season 3, how we got access to it. So the whole Gap thing, Kanye got canceled, or they canceled the Gap collab. And then obviously, so what are you going to do? So what's Gap going to do? What's Gap going to do when they cancel the project with Kanye? They're like, we can't sell this. We made millions of garments. We got to eat this shit and just like get rid of it, right? So what do people do when they want to get rid of something? They send it to rag dealers sometimes, and then they tell the rag dealer, get this out of the country. Send this to Africa. Send this to freaking Cuba. Send this to like freaking Nicaragua, wherever, but get it out of America, get it out of Europe, get it out of Canada. We don't want this product here. We want it gone. And they just like sell it for like pennies on the dollar and get it out of there. They didn't want anything to do with it. They wanted to just like close the book on the Kanye thing and be done with it. Rag dealer gets it. They call us up. We were one of the first people to get it. We're like, yep, send us a container. We'll do this. Let's go. You know, obviously we were a little bit hesitant to like do it because it's a big investment. We're not really streetwear guys so much. Sure, we'll sell streetwear when we can, but we were not really big streetwear guys. So we took a container of it. And we started selling it. Started selling in the store. We're doing pop-ups in Toronto. We were like, kind of like doing really good with it right off the gate. Obviously, because you're like this when we first got it, nobody had it yet, and we were able to like hype it up like this is like super exclusive. Nobody's got this stuff, and it was true. And we were selling it like hotcakes. Jesse did a huge pop up in Toronto, killed it. We did a pop up in Van, killed it. We were selling in stores, killed it. Selling it on the website, killed it. Like it was just going off. It was like nobody's business. It was selling super good for top dollar because at that point nobody had it. And um we were able to like get a few loads like from that first supplier, which ran us like through like the first like 8-9 months or something. And not a lot of people had it even after that. Then what happened was like we got hit up. I can't really tell this whole story yet because like there's still like some confidentiality things going on. We got hit up by some more people that had it because they knew that we were selling it and they sold us some more. That story is like where the story gets real juicy. And again, I can't really get into that story right now on this episode, but I will promise you when the time is right, I will do a full episode with Jesse breaking down the whole story. This whole story involves like the Dove Charney thing when there was the pop up in LA and Dove Charney was like out there yelling in the streets about this is stolen, this is Kanye, this merch belongs to Ye, this is stolen, all that crap. Like this all relates back to that. There's like scandals involved. There's like people ripping off other people. The story just is nuts. It's like you could make a fucking Netflix documentary on the story of this Kanye Gap merch. So we will do a full episode on that and I'll bring it to you guys because it is hella interesting and the people deserve to know. But yeah, we did that for a year and that was great. Made a ton of money, but like there was a few times when we lost some money because people were ripping people off and we're still owed some money on some corner weird deal about that. So it is what it is. And yeah. Any other questions? When are you coming to Dana Point to surf? Fuck, I need any day, man. That's one thing I miss about going to California for Rose Bowl. I would get to surf a lot. I would surf every month in California. I surfed about 2 weeks ago here on the island, got some good waves, but that was my first time surfing in like 3-4 months. I do miss surfing so much. I miss California for surfing. I would love to go to Dana Point and catch some tasty waves, baby. Surfing is like one of my true passions. And, after this midlife crisis kind of cools down, then I think I'll be taking some more trips. I want to be able to set up my life in a way where I can like be away from it more, take more adventures. I might have a vintage deal brewing in Mexico where I'm going to go buy somebody out who has been picking in the markets for like years and years and years. And I will definitely be surfing on that trip. That trip is going to be super, super fun. Again, like I said, I'm stoked on adventures, man. I'm stoked on experiences. The day to day can get super monotonous. I want to be out there with the people. I want to travel more. I want to do more events. I do miss selling at the Rose Bowl. I miss selling in person. Like my favorite way to sell is like fast paced market appointments. Like, let's go. That's my favorite. Kirby. Fucking miss you, bud. Love you, Kerbo. Kirby just writes in the comments, will the Jake Paul and your dad Dave fight actually happen? Oh man, Jake Paul, let's go. Jake Paul got 40 million for that fight. So I think that fight could happen if Netflix coughs up like 10 mil for my dad. It's on. It's on, baby. It's on. Retirement paid for. Quick TKO. So yeah, that fight was last night. I watched that fight. I haven't watched a fight in forever. I went out for dinner last night to take my kids, and Jesse was in town, and we went out for dinner to Samurai Sushi. It's like this, it's dopest sushi place in Squamish, if you ask me. It's just like a fast casual sushi place. Friday night, it's like dead. I'm like, what the fuck is going on in here? They're like, oh yeah, the Jake Paul fight's on. Like everyone's like home watching this fight. I'm like, this is crazy. Like people are like, the whole world was watching that. Netflix was like crashing because the whole world is watching that fight, which kind of blows my mind. Because it wasn't really on my radar. Like I saw the promo for it, but I'm like, do I really want to watch this fight? I don't know, but I did because my homies were watching it. I went to the neighbor's house. We watched it. We had some fun. Yeah. And it was, yes, it wasn't that eventful of a fight. It was not that eventful of a fight. I was hoping for a little more action, someone to get floored, but nobody got floored. Yeah, so that's it, I think, for this one, guys. I really just wanted to hop on here and like kind of just let you know that I'm back. I'm going to be putting out episodes again. Stoked to do it again. I really, really enjoy the podcast. Again, thank you so much for the Patreon members who like have been supporting this whole time. And there's new Patreon members because there's new people that are finding the show and jumping on the Patreon and getting those full episodes. So thank you guys so much for supporting and believing in me. And again, your money, your support goes to pay my alimony. I talked already about my midlife crisis. So when you get separated or divorced, you got to pay. You got to pay half of everything. You know, you got to split the assets, which is half of everything. Which for me is like, I've been, not gonna lie, like I've been pretty good with money. I've been able to save a lot of money, invest a lot of money, buy properties, fucking do what I had to do. Like I think I've been pretty damn good with money. Not gonna lie. So there's a lot to split up, but then you also got to pay child support. The higher earner pays child support to the lower earner, obviously. And alimony. I don't know if they call it alimony in America. Alimony is just like spousal support. Oh, I think they call it alimony in America. In Canada, we call it spousal support. So then you got to pay alimony. Sorry, you got to pay child support and spousal support. Spousal support is like, so that person that you break up with can live the same lifestyle or similar to the lifestyle that they were living and continue not to work potentially, or continue to have support from you, which I guess is like the government's way of saying like, we don't want them living off fucking welfare or whatever, sucking off the government, right? So the government's like, you got to pay for them. Anyway, the system is a system. I'm not going to argue with the system, but your Patreon money helps me pay my alimony, my spousal support, my child support. So thank you guys. I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. Love you all. Thank you guys so much. This week, we are starting to drop new episodes. The new concept comes out with my partner Amy and Jesse, and I will have a new interview coming out this week. And I got, like I said, lots in the bank. So thank you guys. Make sure you sub to the channel and stay tuned for the next one. That is it for today. I am signing off. Thank you guys once again.